welcome. I'm Joy, and I thank you so much for pressing play and spending some time out of your day right here with me. I appreciate you all so much. To the new subscribers, welcome, and I hope that you find something here that resonates with you as well as edifies your life. To the returning subscribers, hey family, I'm so glad that you are here. I appreciate you all so very much. I want to shed more light on the aging process of the narcissist. To not cause any of you to wish these things on the narcissist or see it as something to be happy about because they are afflicted. I share to help you realize that you need to get out so that your quality of life is not negatively impacted more than it already is. To help you realize that the discard was one of the best things that could have happened to you. To show you that you need not worry about the new supply or the forever supply, and most importantly, to support those who are going through this phase of life with a narcissist. Of course, the narcissist is evil. Of course, this is their karma, but do not allow their pain and misery to be a stumbling block in your life. Aging is a natural process for everyone. If you live long enough, you will eventually get old. For most of us, we have an understanding that we cannot outsmart this process. Narcissists, on the other hand, have altered their perception of life so drastically since they live in fantasy land and they believe that aging will not affect them in the same manner. And they, for once, are actually right. It does not affect them the way that it does everyone else. It ravishes them. Their grandiose ego simply cannot process the changes that they are going through. Because of this, narcissists view the aging process as the ultimate evil that can be perpetrated against them. You see, some narcs, they absolutely do the most to trick us into believing that they are the exception to the rule. We all get old if we live long enough. Our bodies all change. What used to sit high starts to hang low. Some shrink, some lose all their teeth, hair color changes, sight and hearing is impaired. Our bodies start to move slower, and yet the narcissist thinks that they are above that. They truly are their worst enemies. You find them getting plastic surgery, which I have no problem with plastic surgery at all, but they believe that it will cause them to defy the aging process. They don't think like we do. You find some starting new businesses and even new careers while their peer group is retiring and slowing down. They will even take on younger romantic partners, believing that their youth is transferable and they will be seen as young. I guess whatever rocks your boat, right? But one thing that the narcissist cannot escape or trick us into believing is not real is the effects of dementia. This disorder does not discriminate at all, and as it progresses, the narcissist becomes grumpier, meaner, until finally the lights go out and all that remains is the empty shell of who they try to hide. You really cannot escape your truth. Dementia affects every part of the brain, and in no particular order. Memories become unreliable and scattered. Familiar faces turn into strangers. Family and friends turn into enemies. In some cases, dementia transforms into Alzheimer's as well as other diseases. This is incredibly challenging for narcissists as they need to be able to project their perceived superiority on those around them. Any sign of diminishing looks and capabilities is a threat to the false self and is incredibly difficult for them to process. It is as if it's at this stage of life where suicide actually becomes an option. I have a video about how the narcissist will use suicide as a tool to manipulate you to keep you in their love cult. However, I want to be clear that as their false self begins to crumble, they fear that they will be seen as inferior, and this speaks to how they have black and white thinking or splitting, and how this works against them. They are either superior or inferior. Most of us would just muster up the courage and accept that we cannot slow down the aging process, and we can't stop it, and we can't change it. And so we just adjust as best as we can. Not the narcissist. Listen, if you are someone who wants to witness the karma of the narcissist, stop, because it could have easily been you having to live and deal with this with them at this stage of life, and it is truly very challenging. They are at their absolute worst. Find closure for yourself and never let them back into your life once they leave. Narcissists would rather die than be exposed to be a mortal human. We are all mortal humans, but they lie to themselves so much that they believe it does not apply to them. They cannot be vulnerable, and the thought of them having to rely on another person to bathe them, dress them, feed them is unbearable. And it's as if, it's even worse when it's somebody who they've spent years of their lives belittling, gaslighting, running smear campaigns on, cheating on, inflicting horrendous pain on them. The narcissist would rather die than depend on these people or person to take care of them. This is because that, they always think that you are going to come back for them. That's how they live their lives, always looking over their shoulders. This is when those who are so lost in their grandiose will eventually end their lives. As dementia sets in the body, as it sets in the body, it begins to progress, and there are different stages with each progression. And each stage elicits a different response in the narcissist. And so I'm going to do my best to share what I've witnessed. And if you have any experience with this, please share it with us in the comments so we can learn from one another. As a person ages, they may experience mild cognitive decline. If there is, it shows up as forgetfulness. However, it doesn't have any effect on their abilities to perform regular tasks. They will blame others for their forgetfulness. If this is the narcissist, they will say things like, well, you were supposed to remind me, or you should have done this. I told you to do this, knowing full well that they didn't. But it's all to project their feelings that they're having about themselves, knowing that something is going on. But at this point, they believe you don't know what's up with them. However, as the forgetfulness continues and is now even more consistent, the ability to concentrate becomes difficult. And as a result of this, their ability to perform tasks gets affected and declines. At this stage, the narcissist is aware that something is up. Their black and white thinking begins to haunt them again. They get aggravated at their own decline and how they are slowing down. This ends up with them projecting the frustration, anger, and shame onto those around them who are actually trying to help them. They will do so much, and they will do as much as they can to hide their condition from others. They still believe that they can trick us and that they remain superior even in the face of a serious illness. It's a truth that the false self cannot hide for long. The dementia and cognitive decline continue, and then they become moderately affected. At this point, it becomes clear to others that something is up, and the narcissist becomes increasingly forgetful and prone to accidents. They forget to pay bills, they over or underpay, they start getting lost in familiar places, they wait too long to go to the bathroom, believing that they will make it, and all denying what is happening. They deny that they are slowing down to themselves and still think that we cannot see it. This is common for all people who are afflicted with dementia. And when I say this is common, I'm referencing the symptoms, the signs, but people process this differently. The narcissist at this point begins to isolate themselves. They refuse to admit that they have a problem. So they may end up refusing help for, a longer period of time. And if they engage with others, you find that they will do it for a shorter period of time because they have more control over short periods of time, not for a prolonged period of time. And, they go back into the good old days, and they talk about all their conquests or whatever they did in their lives, and this is where they remember to claim your successes and tell them that it was them that paid for you to go to college, it was them that started your business, it was them that saved you from whatever calamity they created. So they will always refer back to the old days because they are true to their narcissistic nature. They hurl insults like venom to those who are actually trying to help them. And it's all because they are so prideful. Tanya at Just Say No to Narcs explained, she explained their pride in her video about the Leviathan spirit. And so if you have not seen it, I would suggest that you check it out. It explains their pride to a T. So over time, the decline continues. Suicide becomes more probable as their capacity to perform tasks declines. As they are severely impacted, they are unable to do much of anything, and this is extremely embarrassing to them. And when they're embarrassed, what do? They hurl more insults, and this is when it kind of gets gross because they lose their bowel controls, they're unable to feed themselves, and so they lash out. So this is where you hear stories of, the patient, taking their fecal matter and throwing it at the nurse or, their caregivers, because that's the only way they can process what's happening to them. It's nasty. And at this point, depression increases. And for a brief moment of time, they actually do soften up. I've seen it. And you would almost believe that the narcissism is wiped away with their, and they have no memory of any of that. But you find that they'll apologize and they act a little different until it creeps back in. And you realize that, nope, you can't even save them. They are so delusional, and the false self is so deeply ingrained in them. And so it will rise back up whenever it feels like. And, you find that the narcissists also, they become a bit delusional, and they try to convince you that they're a movie star, that they're the president, that they are, they had some rap career, or that they're an author of all of Stephen King's books. Actually, they just are delusional. And, this is where it kind of gets a little tricky. Well, not necessarily tricky, but the medical field will tell you that it's just a paranoia that comes with the disease. And to some extent, I can accept it. But when you take somebody who is non-toxic, and then we have the narcissist, right? Let's stick with the narcissist. So we have a non-toxic person and the narcissist. The non-toxic person, yeah, they will say things, but they will, they'll reflect back on, great moments of their life, not of some pretend life that like the narcissist defaults to with a false persona. So, you can kind of see that thing is so embedded in them. And that's why I have to believe that this is a spirit that is at work in them. They were an empty vessel at some point that was occupied by evil, and it just refuses to leave them at all costs. So, you find people saying, well, did you talk to the narcissist? Did you ask them about, trying to help convert them or talk about Christ to them? They refuse to receive any of that. It is a stronghold in their lives. They refuse. And so, while a normal person, again, is talking about great moments of their life, the narcissist is saying things like, stop chasing me, the dog is trying to eat me, things that just cause you to like, what's really going here? And it's in that state. They are so, you have to believe that they are fully convinced of what they're saying. So I highly doubt, like, if they had any type of, thought process, that they would revert to a dog chasing them or the dog trying to eat them when everybody else is having or recalling different things about their life. And so, again, it kind of speaks to the demonic nature that is going on, because it's so apparent sometimes that they are being chased down by demons. And so as the disease progresses and the illness becomes more severe, the narcissist becomes a shell of a person. And they're no longer speaking, walking, and they're in need of care 24/7. They barely recognize themselves, let alone anyone else. And so they sit in the same chair day in and day out, gazing out into the day, into the night. No personality whatsoever, not a single care about anything. And it's like once they get to this point, the false self is long gone. It's departed. And all that is left is an empty shell with several broken hearts trailing behind it. They wait and wait for the next phase of life, for the next phase of their journey to continue. And then at their appointed time, the wheels kick in and the dying phase or dying process begins. They experience extraordinary pain and unmatched terror. And it's true, you reap what you sow. It's in those moments, when you know that they're progressing beyond, coming back, and you have that just the glassy stare over their eyes while they're not in the active dying phase at this point. They're still, just suffering the effects of their sickness or their illness. And you can tell that there is nobody home. It's like the lights are on, but there is nobody home. And when I tell you that at this point, that demon has left them. Why has it left them now? Because the narcissist is no good. One thing with demons is they may not know what's happening in your life. They may not know, of changes that are coming or what's about to happen the way God knows, but they are able to sense a change that's going on in the spiritual realm. They may never be able to identify what the change is, but they are aware of it. And so this is why I believe that once the narcissist is so advanced in this disease and he or she is absolutely no good to the enemy and he can't use them anymore, they release the narcissist of their assignments. And this is why when we talk about the devil as the father of all lies, it's very apparent here, because the narcissist was tricked into believing that they were somebody. Meanwhile, they were nothing but an empty person. They were not as great as they believed they were. They are susceptible to everything that everybody else goes through. They are no different and they are no special. I want to thank you so much for taking some time to watch this or to listen to me today. And if anything resonates with you, I invite you to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And until the next video, take care of yourself and take care of each other.